Whew. Guys, we need to pray, and we need to pray seriously and feverishly, and we really need to put on the full armor of God at this point, because I am convinced that Jamaica is under serious spiritual attack. Let me explain why. There's a clip going viral, right? The Prime Minister was doing a presentation where he's talking about building resilience, and he has named out a few places like, the shorelines in the communities. He mentioned Sandy Gully. So he's basically talking about building a country that have a better chance of withstanding the impacts of a Category 5 hurricane, because he's saying because the local government was so badly affected, it caused a ripple effect on the recovery service. And the local government is like the fire brigade, the police, and all of that, because they are in fact the local government, right? And he said, we need to get this work going and we need to get it done, because there's already another hurricane on its way. And everyone is like, he's building another hurricane. It's coming. He's building So you know what? They say common sense is uncommon. And to all the people reacting to the video and twisting his words, that's a primary example of common sense being extremely uncommon. Because the truth of the matter is another hurricane is coming. Hurricanes haven't become extinct. They haven't been classified as extinct. And we are still in the Caribbean basin, which means that every year the hurricanes are going to still develop and we are at risk. And at some point in time, we're going to get another hurricane. That's what he means when he says there's another hurricane already on its way. Hurricanes aren't gone. They haven't become extinct. They haven't become non-existent. Hurricanes, they still do exist. The hurricane season still exists. And until some divine intervention of God, they are going to exist. And until some divine intervention of God, we're still going to get hurricanes. That's what he means. Just like when Gilbert did hit Jamaica, September 12, 1988, and St. Thomas did have pure boardhouse, just boardhouse, few concrete houses, but a lot of boardhouses, right? And St. Thomas people knew that that's a horror we never want to experience again. But we knew that the only thing we could control was us and how we built going forward. And no one had to tell us to stop building boardhouses. And if you were going to build them, you have to build them in a particular way. And hurricane straps has to be a part of your roof. And when the roof is shaped in a particular ergonomics way, it has a better chance of withstanding a strong hurricane. We didn't have the kind of media that we have now then. Just imagine those people who are far less educated than the people of today were smarter. We did not need any government to tell us that. And after Gilbert, St. Thomas was like Westmoreland with a lot of boardhouses, It is Hurricane Gilbert that shifted that effect, that change. And people started building some ridiculous houses. Those are not houses. They're mansion in St. Thomas. That's how St. Thomas became the parish to have some of the most prestigious design and craft of houses. When you go some places in St. Thomas, you would think it's Mandeville. And St. Thomas doesn't have an economy because people have learned from the sufferation of Gilbert. You see, What happened with Hurricane Melissa in the West? That was Sentamas. We never had any Ramesh. We never have any Spice. We never had any Cartel. We never have any Andrew Holness. We never have any Adpem. Maybe they existed, but we never see them and we never get them. We had to forage the land and we had to go to the river and we had to survive. Was there any outbreak of leptospirosis? No. Because country people, they know how to use water from the river. And country people, from generation, our grandparents have told us, whenever there is any breakage of pipeline and every rain, because it always rains in St. Thomas and Portland, so the people knew. So there was no outbreak of leptospirosis and there was no death. And it's because people, the parish isn't overcrowded either, and people had proper sewage facility, and people just used the river, and people knew to boil their water and stuff. But the point is, you cannot hate a person to the point where you're willing to make yourself look stupid. You can't hate someone so much to the point where you're willing to make yourself look arrogant and stupid. It literally does not make any sense. When he says there's already another hurricane on the way, that's common sense. We're going to have another hurricane season. We may miss a hurricane the next hurricane season, but what about the other one? And guess what? Based on what the geophysicists, geologists, and meteorologists are saying, we're going to start seeing some weird shit that we never used to. We may have random freak storms just out of nowhere. Random freak storms, hurricane activities are going to be stronger every year, and that is because of fuel emission, global warming. And this is why when you people say he should stop going around begging people for money, he's not begging people for money. He's saying to the rest of the world, you're killing the people in the tropics and the subtropics, because the people in the tropics and the subtropics, we have the least fuel emission. Because in the first world countries, it's so easy for you to get a motor vehicle. In the first world countries, they have nuclear plants, nuclear facilities. They have this, they have that. China has created a dam that they say that's affecting the energy of the earth itself. So what he's saying is this: because of you first world people, we are prone to more disasters, and as such, you are causing death, you are causing chaos in our country, in our lands, and you need to pay us for that. Because you guys can do better, and we have been talking about this for years, and you guys are not effecting change fast enough to save the people of the tropics and the subtropics, and as such you need to pay us. You need to compensate. He's asking for concession. He's asking for compensation. He's not begging. And by law, he shouldn't even ask. He should not even ask by law. But you can't hate somebody so much to the point where you're willing to look stupid and arrogant. It makes no sense. Why is common sense so uncommon? It's becoming a scarcity. He needs to start a campaign. Make common sense great again in Jamaica. I think he needs to start that campaign, because ain't no way the man said there's already another hurricane on its way. And y'all just crashing out. Couple years ago, Barack Obama said there's another pandemic on its way, and everyone in America said Obama is planning a next pandemic. Pandemic has always been happening throughout the centuries. But the most amazing thing is that scientists and science and research and medicine has evolved to limit casualties. It's not going to change. These are the variables. These are the things that we cannot control. We cannot control nature. We cannot. But guess what we can do? We can control ourselves. and we can control some other little things.